Welcome back, everybody, to Combat Tips Season 3. Thank you all very much for joining me today, and thank you all very much to those of you who have been requesting this series to return. As you can see, thanks to the release of Mortal Kombat 11, we've got some new characters to cover, and even some old familiar faces. So, today we're going to be starting off with Baraka. Obviously, I'm in the cosmetics list here, and that is to show you that as of current, I have all 18 out of 18 finishers, which includes the 8 brutalities that you can get with Baraka. Do keep in mind that you must unlock these beforehand. And again, if you want to see any of these in particular, you can go down to the comments. I'll leave timestamps for you to hop to each one so you can learn the ones you just want to learn about. That said, we'll be starting with the Classic, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, you guys, so we're going to be starting off with the Classic, as mentioned, and in order to do this, you have to make sure of one key requirement, and that is to not block any attacks during the final round. Now, there are two things to note here, however. The final round does not necessarily mean you have to go all the way to round 3, it only means the round that you are going to be victorious on with your brutality, so that can also mean round 2. Additionally, when it says do not block an attack, that doesn't mean you can't hold the right trigger, so if you do happen to block by accident, by reflex, so long as you don't actually get hit and block an attack, you'll be okay, and I'll give you an example of this in a moment. The next thing to make note of is that you want to finish your opponent with an uppercut, which is down triangle on the PlayStation and down Y on the Xbox. And while you are doing this, make sure to hold the respective button that you have activated that uppercut with, which again would be down triangle on the PlayStation and down Y on the Xbox. I'll be giving you an example of this now. So as you guys can see here, we are on round 2, not round 3 or anything, and I am holding the block button just to show you guys that again, if you do happen to hit the block by reflex, it's okay so long as you don't actually block any attacks. Next, I'll give you guys a quick example of the uppercut, which is down Y on the Xbox and down triangle on the PlayStation. There we go, simple enough. We'll do another one. It should look exactly like that. Your character should go into a crouched position and easy enough. Alright, you guys, so last but not least, our opponent has low enough health. We are on the end of round 2, and again, as you can see, I blocked this, but because I didn't take any damage, it's okay. But if you do block an actual attack, you will forfeit your opportunity to perform this brutality. So, that said, we're going to do our uppercut, which again is down triangle for the PlayStation and down Y on the Xbox, and make sure to hold the respective button that you are pushing, which again would be Y or triangle. Here we go. Boom. Easy enough. Nothing like the Classic, and who doesn't love a good uppercut? We'll see you guys on the next brutality. Alright, you guys, so next up is Nom Nom, which is a really easy one. You can perform in any variation. And to do this, you want to essentially finish your opponent with a toward throw. I like to call them forward throws. Depends on your pronunciation. I call them forward throws, toward throws, whatever works for you. But you want to finish your opponent with a towards throw, and you need to push down, down, down while the animation is playing. So, simple enough, I'll give you guys a quick demonstration of how to do this. Now, there are 2 ways that you can perform a throw, and the first way and most familiar way for me is to push the L1 button or the left bumper, depending on your controller, and it should look something like this. However, do make note is that is a back throw, so if you don't give any direction to your throws, it usually will throw them behind you and do a back throw. What we need is a toward or a forward throw, which, to do that, you want to push that same button, L1 or the left bumper, while you're moving towards your opponent, which, now that we've done that, should give us a different animation, and instead, put the opponent in a different direction, more away from us, towards where we're facing, as opposed to throwing them behind us. For those that prefer, you can also push square and X or X and A at the same time on your respective controllers to also do a throw. Like so. Alright, you guys, so we're on our winning round here. We're about to finish off the opponent. I'll give you one more example of a forward throw. Make sure you're moving towards your opponent and hit the L1 button or the left bumper. You can also use the alternate I told you about with the action buttons. And there we go. And now, one last thing to note is you need to push down, down, down while this animation is happening, and it says to do it during the final hit. However, I recommend you just spam it as soon as the animation begins, because this has no negative effect on the actual outcome, and it actually will guarantee that you get the brutality. So, here we go. We're going to do a forward throw one more time, and spam down, 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 down. Let's do it. Down, down, down. And there we have it, my friends. Boom. Nom Nom indeed, so you get a good little nice lunch of the arm, and if you have any problems with Jax, you can really get some revenge. So, on to our next brutality, you guys. Alright, you guys, so the next brutality we have up is called Severed, and you're actually going to require the leg kebab move, which you can see above here, and make sure that is in your arsenal. You're going to want that in your variation in order to perform this brutality. So, the actual way to perform this brutality is pretty simple. However, there is one major requirement, which is 50-50 right at the start of a match, and that is you must get the first hit, which I'll give you an example of and know exactly how if you succeeded or not. And then beyond that, you really just have to finish your opponent with a leg kebab and hold the forward direction, which is again wherever your opponent is facing while you are doing the leg kebab. So let's go ahead and give you guys that example. Now, obviously, it is simple enough. You need to get the first hit in the match, but if you want confirmation as to when it works, go ahead and look underneath my name where it says Baraka and the variation I have active, and you'll see when I get this first hit here, first hit props. So if you see that, boom, you have locked in your opportunity to perform this brutality. If the opponent gets that, unfortunately, you have sacrificed that. So just keep that in mind. You need to get first hit props in order to perform this brutality. Now next up, we want to make note of the actual move we're going to be using, which is the leg kebab, which to perform that you need to do back forward B or back forward circle on your respective controller, and it should look a little something like this. Easy enough. We'll do one more. There you go. And again, if you see that blade break off into the leg and they're bleeding, you know you got that animation properly down. So let's move on to our execution. Alright, you guys, so as you can see, our opponent is low enough, and one more time, you have to finish your opponent with a leg kebab while pushing the forward direction, which is wherever you are facing. So that, for me, right now, would be right. That is the forward direction. Alright, so back forward B, back forward circle, and hold forward. And there we have it, my friends. Leg kebab indeed. There we go, you guys, so on to our next brutality. Alright, you guys, so next up we have the Sparkler brutality. In order to perform this one, you need to actually connect 5 blade sparks during the match, and note they say connect, which means they can't be blocked. They actually have to hit the opponent without being blocked at all. So 5 means they haven't blocked them, and they've actually taken the full damage from that actual projectile. Next up, we only really need to make note of is if you manage to hit those 5 blade sparks during the match, which again can be round 1, 2, or 3, does not have to be all back to back. You just need to make sure your final hit comes from yet another blade spark. Let's go ahead and give you guys that example. So a blade spark is simply down back X on the Xbox or down back square on the PlayStation, and it should look something like this. Easy enough, and we'll do another one. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and there's 5. And as you can see, obviously the opponent did not block any of them, so that's very key for making sure this works. As you can see, if the opponent is blocking like so, and they do that, it does not count as a connect. So make sure that you're not getting that, but instead you're getting that. You want the full damage going through, and that counts as a connect. That should make the brutality work all the more easier for you. Okay, you guys, our opponent is on their last whim here. Let's go ahead and give you one last reminder that you simply need to hit your opponent with 5 blade sparks through the match, and remember, they can't be blocked, they do have to hit. It can be at any point through match round 1, 2, or 3, and then you simply need to hit your opponent with 1 more blade spark to finish that round, which is down back X on the Xbox or down back square on the PlayStation. Let's go for it. Boom. This one's like sweet and simple, but it does its job. It gets you a nice little x-ray of that rib cage, if that's of your interest. So it's also nice because you have that in all of the variations. His blade spark, I think, exists in all of his variations, unless I think maybe it gets replaced by a certain move or two. But for the most part, I find that I have the blade spark very often. So this is a very good one if you're trying to use something that you may need to get from a distance. On to the next one, you guys. Alright, you guys, so next up is the Thumbtack brutality, and in order to perform this one, you actually will need to place down 3 war banners at some point during the match, whether that be down 1, 2, or 3. It does not have to be all one after the other. Next, you'll want to make sure your character's variation has the blood lunge in their arsenal, and that way you can actually use that for your final hit to get this brutality. I'll go ahead and give you guys an example now. Alright you guys, so one new addition to this game is Baraka's War Banner, and placing that down actually gives you a buff. Now, for this brutality in particular, we're going to need to place 3 down at some point throughout the match. Now, mine will all be in a row, but you do not have to do them all in a row. They just have to be placed at some point between round 1, 2, or 3 whenever you're getting that brutality. So, to do a War Banner is down back B or down back circle, like so. And we need to get 3 of those. So there's 1, there's 2, 3. There we go. Now next up is the blood lunge, and that is back forward triangle or back forward Y, depending on your respective controller, and it should look something like this. That's a very brutal and a very good move. I use this all the time when I'm catching opponents that are bouncing up in the air. And that's really all there is to it. You just need to make sure you put down a War Banner 3 times between round 1 and 3, depending on how far the match goes, and you want to finish your opponent with a blood lunge. Let's go ahead and move on to our finishing move. Alright you guys, so here we are. Our opponent is about to go down. Just keep in mind, one more time, you've had to place down 3 War Banners throughout the match and finish your opponent with a blood lunge, which is back forward Y or back forward triangle. You do not need to have the War Banner down while you perform this one. As long as you've placed them at one point beforehand, you're all set. Let's go for it. Oh. This is easily one of the best ones, I feel, because it incorporates that brand new flag, and I really love that feature. You guys will see a little bit later that the variation I play the most incorporates all flag moves. I love it. On to our next brutality. Alright you guys, so our next brutality is called Stuck. And in order to perform this, you're going to need the blade charge in your arsenal, so make sure the variation you're using has this move. Next up, you really only have to make sure you place down your War Banner as you go to perform the final hit, which of course must come from a blade charge. So I'm going to give you guys a quick example. This one's pretty easy, but it is very specific. Okay, so just like the last brutality, we're going to want to place down a War Banner, which again is down back B, down back circle, like so. Easy enough. Except the difference in this scenario is that the War Banner is going to have to be out when the brutality is performed. And to do the brutality itself is going to be back forward Y or back forward triangle, assuming you have the blade charge in your arsenal. And it should look something like this. Boom. Easy enough. So really what we're looking to do is combine the two of these. So you put the War Banner down and then blade charge the opponent. As long as you can get the two at the same time, you should have no problem getting this brutality. Let's move on. Alright you guys, so here we go. We're going to perform this brutality. One more reminder, you need to have that War Banner down. It has to be down when you go to perform this brutality in particular. So make sure you have that thrown out, and make sure you finish your opponent with a blade charge, which is back forward Y or back forward triangle. So here we go. I'm going to pop out that War Banner, and then charge your opponent. There you have it. Ooh. He goes right up the middle, splits him. Beautiful. Another very nice one. I like that one a lot. So there we have it, you guys. I mean, I don't know why in particular they want you to have the banner out for that one. Some of them it makes more sense why you would put the banner out prior, but even so, it's a nice brutality. On to our next one. Alright, you guys, so next up we have the capped brutality, and this is definitely one of my favorites. You'll see why soon, but it works with the variation that I play most with Baraka, so it's certainly close to my heart for that reason alone. But here we go. The biggest thing with this brutality is you must not have used a fatal blow. Now, a fatal blow is the very animated move that you get when you're about 30 to 20% life. You're not allowed to use that. If you use that animation, you forfeit the opportunity to do this brutality. And that is actually something I forget very consistently, so just keep that in mind because you cannot perform this brutality if you have performed a fatal blow prior. Next up, you're going to want to make sure you have the staked move in your arsenal, otherwise you won't be able to perform this brutality, and this should allow you to actually swing the flag and impale your opponent with it. So we'll go ahead and give you guys a demonstration of how to do this brutality right now. Now, as you guys have seen plenty of times earlier in this tutorial, we are going to be placing the banner again. However, just do note that I actually will be using the War Banner Bash as opposed to the normal War Banner placement, but both will work for this brutality. So I use this because, again, it's related to my variation. I like using the flag, so instead of placing it normally, I actually will swing it beforehand. And that's just an optional choice for my variation. I have to stress, you don't need to have that to make this work, as long as you can place the flag, period. As you can see, as long as you can mount the flag normally, you don't even have to have the swing, you'll be fine. Next up, though, what we do need to make note of is the staked ability. So we're going to go ahead and plant the flag and have our opponent come closer. And the same ability we used to plant that flag, we can now unplant it and replant it in the opponent. So that is really what the gist of this move is. Now do note that Devora has her Fatal Blow up here up top. And if your character has the same, remember you're not allowed to use it if you're trying to get this Brutality. I just want you guys to be familiar with what the icon looks like in case some of you are not remembering what exactly you need to see visually. Up there up top, that Fatal Blow, it usually will be both back triggers, it replaces the X-Ray. Make sure you do not use that if you're trying to get staked to work. Alright, you guys, so our opponent is now weak enough, and one more time, you're going to want to make sure that you haven't used your Fatal Blow at all during the match, and then you simply want to place your banner, like so. And do keep in mind, if you have the War Banner bash, don't kill your opponent. You will kill your opponent and lose that opportunity. Go ahead and place that War Banner, and then you want to swing it one more time, like so, into the opponent. So here we go, you guys. That is down back B, both to place and to swing the banner. Down back circle on your respective controller. Let's do it. Place the banner. Place it a second time. Ooh. This one's just so grimy because they're still alive. Ooh. I love it. I really love that one. It's great because it works with the flag, and you guys know my love for essentially brutalities that highlight the special abilities that each character possess. So, speaking of which, onto our final brutality. So here we are, our final brutality for Baraka today. This is called Cut Up. And in order to do this, you simply need to use the Chop Chop move. Just keep in mind, I believe this move can be replaced in some variations, so just keep an eye out. Make sure you have this in your variation when you're going to use it, or rather make sure it hasn't been replaced, because I believe it's a default move, but it can be swapped out. That said, you're going to want to make sure you finish your opponent with a Chop Chop, and you want to hit down, down, down while the final hit is occurring. However, again, like past moves, I think you should just spam it as soon as the animation begins, but there's a couple tips I can give you for this move, so I'll go ahead and show you guys now. Now, the normal Chop Chop is simply down back A on the Xbox and down back X on the PlayStation, and it should look something like this. But do note on the left, it does 3 hits. Now, we'll do that one more time so you guys can see. 3 hits. Now, what's nice about Chop Chop is you can actually extend it without actually spending any points. And the way to do that is you simply have to bash the same button that you activated it with. And by that I mean, down back A, you would bash A, or if you're on the PlayStation, down back X, you want to bash X. So we'll go ahead, and instead of just letting the ability play, we're going to bash the button now. And there you go. So now we have 9 hits instead of 3. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this gives you a better chance of getting that brutality to work, because you're inputting more damage into your opponent. Now, if you have some attack bar to spend, offensive bar on the bottom left, you can see I have 2 in my sword bar there. You can spend more of that energy by pushing the R1 button or the right bumper, depending on your respective controller. By using that, as well as bashing your respective button, you can increase it even further. So we're getting 9 hits now with the extended version here. Now let's go ahead and bash A and mash the R1 button while that's all happening, okay? Here we go. And there we go, you guys. That's 15 hits. 15 hits for Chop Chop, and that's something that can really help you get that brutality in if you want to make sure you get it at the end of the day. So we're going to go ahead and move on to finishing off the opponent, but do take note that Chop Chop can either be a simple little 3-hit wonder, or it can be a 15-hit force of hell. Alright, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and finish off our opponent now with the Chop Chop. Again, remember, you can extend it just by bashing the respective A or X button on your controller. You don't even have to spend any of the charge if you want to just get that 9 hit, and I think that's what we're going to do now. And you have to push down, down, down while the attack is happening. I recommend just mashing down, down, down while you're mashing the same A button to get that animation to extend. So by doing the two of those, you'll very likely be able to guarantee that brutality. So again, use chop chop, which is down back A or down back X, mash the respective button to extend it, and also push down, 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 spam it on the D-pad. So here we go, you guys, let's do it. And we're cutting them up. Ooh. And do know, we went into the finish him phase. Don't stop. Don't stop pushing those buttons until you see that screen background go dark and give you that brutality highlight. You can see when the stage light kind of effect happens on your character. Once that happens, you can let go of everything. You know you got it working. But until that happens, don't panic if you get to finish him. That happens with a lot of brutalities in this game, I've noticed. So just something to note. Alright, you guys, thank you very much for watching today. I hope you guys appreciated all of these brutality tips. If there's any characters you want to see in the future, please hop on down to the comments and let me know. I'm pretty much doing them by request. And if you guys want to see any particular other types of tips in the future, do keep in mind I plan to do crushing blows and combos. I may be able to help you out there too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how these videos do. Do feel free to give me a like if you think this video helped. It really does help my my viewings and my ratings go up, and it lets me know for sure that you guys have been enjoying the videos, and I always appreciate that. Do keep in mind the date of this video, because if more brutalities come out in the future, they're obviously not going to be here, but I'm more than willing to cover them in the future, so we'll see how things go. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate you stopping by today. I hope the tips helped, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay happy.